Welcome to another episode of Head to Head Sports with your host Brian Parker and Mr. Randall Hargrove. How you doing, sir?
What's going on? Caught me by surprise here.
You over there picking that guitar?
Check this out. Can you hear it?
Yep.
That's your own theme show, man.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What's going on? How you doing?
Brian Parker.
Yes, sir.
I got a bone. No, I got 106 bones to pick with you. 106 bones.
106 bones.
I missed the show last week, right? Because I had something to do. It was pressing business, urgent. Couldn't get it. So I got home late and I caught what you did. You know, you did a great job holding it down by yourself. Kudos for that, man. Kudos
Okay. All right.
Never have to happen again. And I was so on board with you with the NFC South. I thought you would pick the Panthers like to finish dead last, blah, blah, blah. But you see a little something in the Panthers just like I do. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yep.
And then you went to the AFC North.
Okay.
And you picked my boys. The Pittsburgh Steelers to finish last in the North. Brian Parker. If this was misery, I would tie you to a bed, break your ankles, and make you do the show all over again. Proceed, my man.
Okay. But did you at least understand some of the insanity? Did any of it kind of? I guess I'm trying to figure out how does a team get better, and how much better do they get than their division? Because at the end of the day, I understand that they scored a great running back, but I'm going to be honest with you. Was Connor and Snell really that bad, or was it the offensive line?
So the offensive line got old overnight. Snell was bad, yeah. I don't think he'll even make the team again. Connor was serviceable, but Connor was injured, like Connor always is. So I get what you're saying with the concerns of Pittsburgh. Of course, I'm not picking them over Cleveland.
I know you're not.
Absolute bomb. The Ravens, you know, I could see you pick Pittsburgh to be third because a lot of analysts have picked them to be third. But dead last under the Bengals, man.
Well, look, I'm going to tell you.
Last week, that show would have been 2 hours long. We would have never.
You know what? I struggled with it, but when I looked on paper, and of course, it's paper, it's preseason. I said last year we had Washington and Claypool, and still nothing because you didn't have a balanced game. How much better is the running game going to free up the receivers to be able to do what they do? You got some great receivers for Pittsburgh, but if you can't have a pass rush that will give Ben time to get the ball downfield, then it's a moot point. It was the same issue Brady ran into early on last year where you've got some studs on those wings. But if you got 1 step, 2 step, 3 step drop, and you got to get the ball out of your hands, that's going to be your running back or that's going to be a tight end at the best. That's not going to have anything. So a lot of teams nullified the impact that a Chase Claypool, that a James Washington could make. I really want to see him make that next step. Now, Cincinnati, Lord knows, I think they would have finished a lot better had Joe Burrow not got hurt last year. And as long as they can keep him upright, he's got some hellified receivers too.
Big if. That's even a bigger if than Pittsburgh if. That offensive line is garbage. The Cincinnati Bengals are forever garbage. They probably had a generational left tackle to fall into their lap.
Yes.
And they passed on him for another
one. Yes.
Unbelievable.
To get him his college receiver, wasn't it?
I believe so.
That's what they ended up doing.
the time to
So
get the ball
so
downfield.
you're right. If they don't figure that out, it could easily be them where where they normally comfortably are. And trust me, that was a hard one to pick too, because I'm so used to Cleveland and Cincinnati almost being
Bottom
no,
feeder.
I don't even want to say afterthoughts. They after the afterthought, really. And that was just weird. And I started looking at it and I'm going, the only reason I'm even giving Baltimore somewhat of a chance is because this is, Lamar trying to get paid.
Yeah.
And this is this contract year. Now, he done already seen Josh Allen get an extension. Then somebody else just get an extension too. That was in his class. It was him, Allen. Oh, no. Baker Mayfield about to get one too.
Yeah.
So it's Baker's contract time. It's Lamar's contract time. They got to ball out. Now it's funny you said all this. I was just looking at a piece today on ESPN where they were talking about Lamar talking about the league still ain't figured him out yet. Well, yeah, they kind of have, Lamar. I mean, figuring you out and figuring out how to stop you might be two different things. Can they stop you? If they hit you early and knock some wind out of you, maybe. They put some faster folks on you, maybe. If they get increasing leads on you and you think you're going to be able to run your way back into the game, no. So the secret to Lamar Jackson is make him throw the ball. How do you make him throw the ball? Get a lead on them, and they can't catch up by just running the ball and running the clock out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's going to be your best way to get to Lamar Jackson, is to really see if those receivers and Mark Andrews, as tight end, are going to be able to help him out if they dig themselves in any holes. Go on a couple of 3 and outs. Yeah, that's how we can beat you, Lamar. You know what? We'll play prevent and give you about them first 8 yards and then just smack the hell out of you if you don't run out of bounds. They going to get him. Somebody going to get him. They haven't. Now, he made it sound like, well, they hadn't figured out how to stop me. Nah, until you can, now he's done a better job running out, throwing on the run, still looking downfield and stuff like that. You do have to at least look at that. But I'm not totally sold on Baltimore. But again, I think they've done just enough in the motivation during a contract year that gives me pause to think that they have a possibility of being number 2. Hell, they got a possibility of being number 1, because if Odell and Baker Mayfield don't get on the same page, that could end up causing more problems for Cleveland than they really understand and believe.
Yeah,
they did a lot without Baker, without Odell last year. A lot of people took notice of that and was like, well, wait a minute, they went to the playoffs basically without him.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's up to Baker. I mean, it's up to Odell to try to figure out how him and Baker get on the same page without then making Baker start to zero in on him and make them hungry cornerbacks and DBs just sit there and see that. And then the next thing you know, he's trying to force feed the ball to Odell and starts throwing in a bunch of interceptions. That's the only thing I'm worried about with Cleveland. I don't trust Cleveland, but I had to look at it on paper and go, they should. And then I looked at their schedule. That's the other thing, too. It's not even just the paper. It's who you got to go play against and do this.
Mm-hmm.
So they had one of the easier schedules, too.
Yeah, so the Browns going to be there. I mean, how could they not be there? I mean, all Baker has to do is just do a serviceable job, and they're going to be fine. They got that dual running back threat that nobody wants to see. 2 physical backs, both of them capable of starting games if one of the other one goes down. No problems there. The defense is going to be ferocious, should be ferocious. You got Clowney on one side, got Garrett on the other side.
Right.
That is absolute hell. So we'll see how it plays out. The AFC North is going to be a war this year, no doubt about it. I just don't think that Cincinnati is going to be part of that war. They got some issues. They got some problems.
I agree.
I'm hearing their quarterback is still a little bit shaky in the pocket due to that severe knee injury. He's showing a lot of rust in the preseason, so we'll have to see how that carries on regular season.
Yeah, for a second-year quarterback, the confidence level has to be there. I mean, he started early, then he got hurt. I don't want him to end up like David Carr, when he was with the Texans and he got hit so much that, anytime he heard some feet running towards him, he just fall to the ground. He had PTSD. And he was just damaged goods. I'm always very, very shaky about young quarterbacks being the face of the franchise, getting thrown out to the wolves without having some time to actually, number one, catch up to the speed of the game, and number two, honestly, get a strong offensive line that can protect them and give them time. If you don't have like a stud running back, then that puts a lot more pressure on you to throw the ball. So, because you get into those third and longs, and unless you're going to try to run a draw play and get as many yards as you can, now the pressure's on you to try to make those first downs off that throw. So when you have these young guys and you don't have a veteran to put in front of them that can throw the ball away if the pass rush just isn't holding up, then they're trying to do too much. They come in with all this zeal and all this vigor, and they want to sit there and just, ball out and everything. And, you might be able to do some of that in college, but man, these NFL guys are coming to take your head off. So hopefully his confidence will come back. I root for Joe Burrow more than I root for Cincinnati, if that even is possible. I want the young kid to do well, but I ain't never been a Bungles fan because I just always expect the Bungles to do what the Bungles do.
For a great reason.
So I understand your bones to pick. I knew that if you had been on the show, it was going to be all out World War III.
That'd have been a war.
I already knew that when you came on today that it was still going to be somewhat World War III.
Man, I was so sleepy last week trying to watch the show. And when I heard you pick Pittsburgh last, I was wide awake. Wide awake.
So I'm hoping somehow that prediction, though, will motivate them that the next time they start out 11-0, they seal the deal. Because they could have easily, if they carried that momentum on, could have been at least in the AFC Championship game. And they very well should have.
Should have been.
And I know the injuries and things like that caught up to them. But I think it was just a little bit more to it than that. And hopefully they figure that out. You take those licks early, so later you don't have to worry about that. And it just seems like they didn't, and then it just derailed. It just derailed on them.
Teams caught up to them. You can't continue to do the exact same thing day in, day out without making any changes. That's why the offensive coordinator that was there last year is gone.
Yeah.
He became so vanilla that everybody knew what he was going to do. 3-step drop, get the ball out quick. So after the defensive coordinator started saying, well, we can't sack Ben, so what we'll do is we'll jump in the air and tip the passes. It was turnover city after that.
Yeah. Once you start doing those tapping balls up in the air, those are 50-50 balls.
Oh, yeah.
You see who come down with it, And I don't know if they practice that now. I know in the old days they didn't necessarily do that. They practice, trying to swat the ball, but the idea was to swat the ball down. Now they swatting it up, almost like a jump ball in basketball, and see who go up there and get it. And you got some really athletic dudes now that they can stop on the dime, see that ball in the air, and go get that thing. So yeah, it's a different time. All right, well, listen. We got a packed show. I want to thank everybody for joining us. We are streaming live, Ram. We are actually live on Facebook. My Facebook page, I got us hooked on the water cooler, shared it on there. I got us on YouTube, on the Parker Media Group, on the Parker Media Group's Facebook page, and on LinkedIn. We are streaming. I mean streaming. And we're getting people watching. So I appreciate that. And then, as always, the show will air again tomorrow on our live stream on the Roku channel on Empower Network. So you can always check in there. It'll also be available after that on our On Demand, where you will also be able to see season 1, over 18 episodes of season 1 that we did. Wow. And where we even had our Super Bowl prediction show and everything else. And we'll definitely do that right before the season, but we've got a couple of weeks before the first season. We've already had a couple of teams already play 2 of their preseason games. last week, as Rand made known, that we went over, or I went over, the NFC South and the AFC North. This week, we're going to take a bite at the AFC East and the NFC East. So with all of that said, why don't we dive into the let's get them out of the way, the NFC least, starting with the Washington football team. What's your thoughts on how far Washington can go?
I don't know, man. They're putting a lot of faith in Mr. Fitzmagic. It looks like he's going to take the helm, and he's going to get the go for the start of the season at least. But we all know how that goes. Fitzmagic never seems to finish a season for whatever the reason is.
Well, I call him Fitz Magic at the beginning and then Fizz Magic at the end.
It's right. Fizz every single season, no matter what team he's with. So
yeah,
the Redskins defensively are going to be all right. That defense is going to keep them in games, no doubt about it. I just do worry about what they have at the quarterback position. Like I just said, Fitzmagic or Fizzle Magic never seems to finish the deal when it comes to a full season. So then you want to look and see like who's behind him, and what you do have behind him is some Carolina guys who also
two of them who are a little bit unproven. I mean, they've done some things here, there. They play well for stretches, but for like talking about huge games in the wintertime and playoff positioning, I mean, I don't know if you could trust either one of them. I don't. Yeah.
And we got an eye load of both of them when they were both in Carolina.
That's true. You know, the only thing is that you're absolutely right. Taylor Heineke and Kyle Allen. Heineke is right now projected number 2, and Kyle Allen number 3, and those can flip flop certainly. So you know, number one is he going to keep 3 quarterbacks on the active roster or put one on the practice squad? Number 2. If it's Heineke, if it's Allen, you're right. They don't have a lot of starts up under him, even though Heineke had a hell of a game last year at the end of the season. That made you feel like, okay, as long as, you know, I hate the term game manager. God knows I do. But all 3, well, not all 3. Heineke and Allen are definitely what you would consider to be more game managers. Do not play outside of yourself. Play within the system. Go to your first read, second read, throw the ball away. Don't play no hero ball. Ron Rivera has always been a coach of field position anyway. He's a defensive-minded coach, so he leans onto his defense. He just doesn't want the offense to put his defense in terrible situations, short fields, a whole bunch of 3-and-outs. Interceptions where now the change of field has to come back into play, things like that. As long as you can keep the score low, Rivera's okay. Now the thing with that is Mr. Fitzmagic can throw that deep ball. And he's got an extra weapon this year that he didn't have last year. I'm sad that we weren't able to sign Mr. Curtis Samuel, but they have Curtis Samuel. And if him and Curtis Samuel on one side, McLaurin on the other side can start to work something out, I can see some deep balls flying. I don't know if they're going to always make it to him, but you got some – if somebody can go get it, Curtis Samuel can go get them balls. And Curtis is also very serviceable in the backfield as well. A lot of reverse plays, a lot of just running straight as a running back. Of course, you already got Antonio Gibson back there. You got J.D. McKissick back there. Hell, they even signed Peyton Barber, whatever he got left on his wheels. So they got a pretty good offense. The tight end, you got Logan Thomas, who, if I'm not mistaken, was a quarterback that converted to tight end. And Logan Thomas went in West Virginia or Virginia as a quarterback in the ACC. I think it was Virginia. He converted to a tight end. We'll see how that goes. That's I think this isn't his first year doing it, but yeah, he converted from quarterback. So you're right, but they're going to lean more on Chase Young, Landon Collins, and all those boys in that defense to really keep those games close. like you said, we'll see if Ryan Fitzpatrick can actually finish a complete season. He starts out so strong. He makes the fans believe. I mean, they all just sitting there waiting, and then the shoe drops, and then you go, okay. So, and they still don't have a name.
They still ain't got a name. So Curtis Samuel being added to the team is definitely going to open them up dramatically as far as things that they're going to be able to do, especially because, hell, I mean, Ron Rivera knows all about the guy. So look for him to line up in the backfield, look for him to take handoffs, look for him to take those sweet plays when they're doing verses. Curtis Samuel is going to be featured all over the field as their new little unique toy to play with, something that they did not have last year. You're right about the wide receivers on the other side, Terry McLaurin, Mr. Do It All himself there too. I mean, guy just does not drop any pass that comes in his direction. So I almost call them the Redskins. Oh my God. The Washington football team should get off to a pretty good start, but it's all about, again, that quarterback position is my only worry.
Yeah, and talking about good starts, when we had a 16-game season, we would break them up into 4-game quarters, and now it's going to be kind of weird. You're going to have a 5th game in one of those. Their start is going to kind of be a true test of where they are. They start out at home, albeit against the LA Chargers. That could be an interesting game, man. We'll talk about Chargers in a second, just as a side note. Then they have the New York Football Giants. So you already got a divisional coming into your house. Then they have to go to Buffalo on week 3.
L.
Then they got to go down to the dirty South to the ATL. They could get a W out of that.
Yeah.
They get a W. But then they got to come home.
Are winnable games.
Yeah, then they got to come home and face New Orleans. And then they got 2 games after that. Kansas City comes to them, and then they got to go to Green Bay, which I think those 2 are L's too.
Absolutely.
So, and then they've also got Denver. That's a toss-up because I don't even know who their quarterback is. And then after that, they got Tampa coming in.
Mr. Bridgewater. They
Yeah.
gave him. They gave
they gave it to Bridgewater?
Gave it to Bridgewater as of today.
On a side note, that says more about Drew Lock than it does about Teddy Bridgewater.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Because, Teddy just got there, Drew. You know the system. And they still don't want you, bro. So, yeah. Yeah. Hello? Yeah. Can I speak to Nick Foles? Nick, you ever been to Denver? Say what? They keep shopping Nick Foles everywhere, man. And then they got Tampa Bay, and then Carolina, then they got Seattle, they got Las Vegas. I see a lot of losses. But here's the funny thing. This is, of course, the NFC least. So last year, a losing team won the division and made the playoffs. Will a losing team from the NFC least win the division and make the playoffs this year? Well, I mean, they win the division, they made playoffs. Will a losing team in the NFC least win the division again?
I don't think so. Not 2 years in a row. I think somebody's going to be that boss. It's hard to see anybody outside of Dallas being that boss, but
because now you got to have 9 wins to really have a winning season. If you have 8, then either you got 9 losses or you got a tie somewhere, and that still ain't the winning season. So you got to win 9 games now to have a winning season.
Yep. So with Washington, again, that defense is going to keep them in games. Defense is pretty ferocious. Young coming off that daggone edge is nothing to be played with. So,
well, he bad.
Yeah, oh wow, we're gonna see what he do this year.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's turn it then to those New York Football Giants, where we've got Joe Judge coach. Dave Gettleman still has a job somehow. Hey, listen, Dave know where some bodies are buried. That's all I'm going to say.
Dave got the dirt on somebody, man.
Right. Because that was his second time around. So He must have reminded somebody of what he knew when they brought him back after Carolina got rid of him. So yeah, you got a team that is this is Daniel Jones's fourth year now, or third.
Daniel Jones, I believe this is year 4 for him.
Okay, so we've seen a little bit of everything from him. Nothing consistent. We've seen him tackle himself. That's going to live in infamy behind the butt fumble from Mark Sanchez. Yeah, Daniel Jones, and then you've got Mike Glennon, the well-traveled journeyman behind him. We got Saquon Barkley at the running back, Devontae Booker as his backup, Kenny Galladay as a receiver, Sterling Shepard as a receiver, Darius Slayton as a receiver, and then you've also got Kadarius Toney as another receiver. Tight end, you got Evan Ingram coming back, and then you got next is physical Kyle Rudolph in as tight end. That's going to be very interesting to see whether they run 2 tight end sets. And that's going to be, I don't know if they're going to do that because really both of those tight ends are more pass catching tight ends than they are known for their blocking prowess. But this is an offense that is still going to be built by the run, and it's all going to be predicated on how much and how soon Saquon Barkley can go back to being Saquon. The more they put the ball in Danny Dimes' hands, you just don't know what the heck you're going to get. So I think they want to have a balanced attack, but somewhat leaning more to the run than let the run set up the pass. What do you think?
Yeah, and as I'm flipping through, checking out their depth chart, the cupboards are pretty bare in New York this year. I mean, you got, you said Saquon, of course, it's going to start there, but I'm hearing Saquon will not even be ready to start the regular season.
Correct. That is correct.
That knee injury, or was it ankle? It was knee or ankle? Lower body extremity.
It was an ankle.
Yeah. So he's not going to be ready, and sometimes that ankle injury could be just as tough as a knee injury, if not even worse. Anybody who's ever broken an ankle before, that is a long healing process. Trust me,
right.
I've been through it, and I know. I had some people ask me last year about AJ Green when he supposedly had surgery on his ankle in July, and Cincinnati was telling folks, "Oh, he's going to be ready for the start of the regular season." Now it's like, that ain't gonna happen. That ain't happening. He might miss the whole year. I had some people asking me, "How you the whole year for an ankle?" I'm like, "Bro, yeah." And we see how it turned out. I mean, Green was not the same AJ Green after the ankle injury.
Right.
Do a lot of jumping, starting, cuts on that ankle, and it becomes a mental thing as well as the physical heel.
You gotta know that you can trust that ankle to hold up.
So without him in there, the next best thing at running back they have, it looks like Booker from where did he play? Denver last year.
Yeah.
He was serviceable, but definitely not as tremendous as Saquon was or is. You have the wide receivers, but then you got Daniel Jones throwing them the ball. So New York could be a very long season for the Giants, for New York City in general, but for the Giants.
Amen, brother.
Yeah,
I didn't even get the idea that we've got 2 of them that we're going to talk about today, but that's true.
Very long season.
3 in the state.
New York teams.
Yeah. Well, and no, you're absolutely right. You just don't know what you're going to get out of Daniel Jones. There's times when he looks like he can make any throw he needs to make. There's other times he just looks totally lost. A lot of that I know is because of the pass rush. He starts hearing those. Now, the thing is that he's actually, when he's not tripping himself up, is actually a decent runner, can get out there in some open space and run. But, yeah, them lights get bright sometimes. He distant, and this is the year he's got to prove he can be consistent. Let me ask you this: is Dave Gettleman's future tied to the success of Danny Dimes, or even if Danny Dimes just turns into a bust, is Gettleman still there after that?
Man, I don't know what the whole Gettleman has over the city. I mean, that's his quarterback though. I mean, he drafted him, so if he turns out to be,
He didn't just draft
he
for
didn't
him.
just draft him.
He
Traded
went.
for him.
He picked him 6.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So for that to happen and the quarterback to flop like that, you would think that the GM would be on his way out, but I don't know, man. I don't know what hold he has on the city of New York. This is time number 2, go around number 2 for him in New York. So
Yeah, I'm just saying, man. I mean, is this dude Teflon, or can you really? Oh, everybody said that was one of the biggest overreaches.
big time.
I think anytime you draft anybody from Duke in the top 6, that's an overreach. I don't care who it is. But that's just crazy. So I don't know. And again, this is going to be one of those divisions where you've got to play everybody twice. So you got Washington twice, you got Dallas twice, you got Philly twice. How many of those can you get in your conference that takes some of the pressure off of how many you got to get out of conference and out of your division? So that's just going to depend. They open up with Denver. Their second game is against the Washington football team. So I'm seeing a lot of divisional games come early. They've got Dallas week 5. That's going to be interesting. That's going to be a 4:00 game on Fox. Everybody going to be wanting to see, what the Dallas defense is going to do against that offensive line, and they're going to want to see if the Giants' offense can keep on tapping on that Dallas defense, or if that defense has gotten any better. So it's going to be a test on both sides of the ball, and just seeing who's going to sling the ball all over the place. Is it Dak? Is it going to be Danny Dimes? His receivers have shown that if he can get them the ball in the right place, they can actually do okay. I've seen Ingram kind of be inconsistent as well. They went after Galladay and they brought him in. So from Detroit, I believe.
Yeah, that'll help him out tremendously.
So that'll help him kind of stretch that out. But again, it's going to come up to the offensive line. Can y'all keep him upright long enough for him to be able to make those throws? Is he going to play within himself, or is he going to try to do too much and play that hero ball and then start slinging that ball around? So,
or is he going to run for his life?
Is he going to run for his life, and he'll have just as many rushing yards this season as Saquon Barkley? But the biggest question is going to be when Saquon gets back, how much of the offense, or are teams going to dare you to throw the ball by simply packing the box and saying, you know what, that little guy back there with them tree trunk legs, he ain't going nowhere. Beat me with your arm. And I think they're going to test him for a minute to see if he truly can. Can you beat us?
I would definitely see what Saquon has, because again, I think it's the mental thing. Like this
Yeah.
is 2 consecutive seasons now of some pretty bad injuries. Where's his head at? We're gonna see.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I'm sure he's feeling the pressure too of everybody realizing that he's the man and all eyes are going to be on him. You're already in the New York market as it is. So we'll see how he handles that pressure. All right, let's look at these birds.
Do we have to?
Oh, very quickly, yes. We have the Philadelphia, and I grew up an Eagles fan. I grew up an Eagles fan because here in North Carolina, you either were Cowboy fans or you're a Washington football team fan. And I couldn't stand neither one of them because they just talk too much smack. So I became an Eagles fan because they were in the same division and I didn't have to be one of them. And they hated the Eagles just as much. So I was okay with that until the Panthers came to Charlotte. So I've always been an Eagles fan for as long as I can remember in one way or another, good and bad. So I guess I'm still kind of. I never gave up my card, so I'm still kind of. But I don't know what they're doing. I have no idea. Jalen Hurts is going to be their, I want to say full-time starter, but I'll just say starter. Because I got to, Eagles are very, very, they put you on a very short leash. So Joe Flacco is actually his backup. And under the right circumstances, Joe can, again, Joe's one of those veterans. He has a Super Bowl. We can say, it was Ray Lewis and Suggs and all of them that really got it for him. But hey, he got Super Bowl ring. So he's your backup. He's your backup quarterback. Your running back, you got Miles Sanders. Then you got Boston Scott. Scott's actually a pretty good back. That wasn't their issue. Scott reminded me a whole lot more of what's my man? Huh?
Sproles, maybe.
Sproles, yeah, Sproles. There's Sproles. Yeah. He reminds me more of that because of the way he cuts and the way he gets that angle on you on the edge. Good night, Irene. He's gone. Yeah. The wide receivers, they have Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor, Greg Ward. Nobody else to mention really after that. So they really, really don't have a lot at the receiver position that I would scream about. Dallas go there, and Zach Ertz are going to be your tight ends. So I don't know what they expect from them. They don't have Jason Peter anymore, who had been there for so long. So
yeah, I kind of see it as the Eagles and Giants trading blows over who's going to be third place, fourth place in that division.
Kind of flipping, right. One's just gonna get edge out, and it may even come down to their out of division schedule as to who has a better chance of winning some of these games out of division. I don't see a lot for them because they start off at Atlanta. I'm gonna be honest with you, as bad as I think Atlanta's gonna be, I think they beat the Eagles.
Yeah.
Then they gotta come home and go against San Francisco. That's an L.
That's an L.
Then they have a Monday night game, week 3. Why is this a Monday night game against Dallas?
Yes. That's an L too.
It's an L, but why is that a Monday night game? Oh my God. And then they gotta go home after they take that L. And Kansas City gonna be waiting for them. L. Then they got to go to Charlotte to face the Carolina Panthers in week 5. That's an L.
It better be an L.
It better be an L. If that ain't an L, I ain't watching no more Panthers games. Then after that, they got to go to Tampa. No, they come home. Tampa Bay is going to be waiting on them. That's an L. Then they got to go out to the West and face the Raiders. That's an L. Then they got to go up
there, man. I'm hearing like 0-7.
Right. It's right. I ain't named one team yet that I think they can beat, and they're set, and that's 7 weeks in. Then it's Detroit, Los Angeles Chargers. The first possible win that I see for them is week 10 against Denver, and I don't even know about that.
I said the cupboards here in New York, the cupboards are really bare in Philadelphia. I mean, their best weapon, I guess, right now is Sanders at the running back position, and he's just, he ain't the absolute.
Yeah.
He ain't a Pro Bowler. Then they got the wide receiver, what's his name, Greg Ward. He was flashing some last year, taking plays off some last year. And then they got the rookie that's supposed to be Mr. Smith from, Alabama.
Yeah.
That. So even with those weapons, though, it falls into the hands of Hurts, who was only 52% passing last year. That ain't going to cut it in the NFL. So
no.
The Eagles got a long road ahead of them. I got them finishing probably last in the division. Got the Giants third place. Second place, probably Washington. And then, as much as I hate to say it, I don't know how they can't be first place Dallas Cowboys.
I don't want to do it because every time we sit there and we think we try to give it to them, they snatch victory from the jaws of defeat.
Defeat from the jaws of victory.
Yeah, exactly. They snatch victory. And yes, the last and least team is going to be those Dallas. Okay, my man Brad just sat there and sent me a message, and the first message I guess gotta talk about being Eagles. You suffered long enough. I can get you a Rams car for the low price of $108. No, thank you very much, Brad. I do not need to be a Rams fan. And then he said, don't sleep on Philly. They may surprise some folks, especially if they can tailor the offense around that quarterback. There, yeah. Hey, man, I even got one better. I'll give you a slow clap at least. I hear you, bud, but listen, you can tailor that offense around him, and I'm not saying he's not going to be a little bit more consistent, but Brad, he's got to have weapons to throw to. He's got to have time to get rid of the ball. His receivers are a bunch of no names, nobodies, wash ups. His tight ends aren't that good. I mean, hell, I ain't picking none of these guys on my fantasy team. I don't know who I'm drafting for my next week's fantasy draft, but I can probably guarantee none of them will be playing for the Philadelphia Eagles.
That would be wise. That would be wise.
Right. All right. So let's push around to these Dallas Cowboys who, on paper, look to have made the step up. As long as they can keep Dakota Prescott upright, as long as his shoulder is okay, this team should have 12,000 yards passing at the end of the season. They should have a lot of yards passing. He's got some stud receivers. He's got CeeDee Lamb. He's got Michael Gallup. I want to believe I love Amari Cooper, or what Amari Cooper was. I just don't know what happened to him in Dallas. I thought the Raiders kind of gave up on him a little bit, expected him to be more than he was. But his body, the way he's able to run those routes, get open and stuff like that, if him and Dak can get on the same page, as much as you got CeeDee Lamb and Mike Gallup, I think the one that can truly come out and eat the most is going to be Amari Cooper. And that's really because you got those other two speedsters that's going to take some pressure off of him on the edges where a lot of those safeties can't come up and help. And all you're going to need Amari to do is get past the ends, get into that soft part of the field, play more slot. You got him coming across the middle playing slot. When Dak needs to get that ball released and the tight end is on the opposite side of the field, Amari Cooper can eat all day. Now, a lot of that is going to be predicated it's supposed to be predicated by the run. How much are they going to feed Zeke early and often? Remember, Zeke fumbles a lot, so you probably don't want to pass him the ball so much. So he's got to be effective when the game is still manageable. If you're playing from behind, you just took away half of your offense because you don't have a running game. What you think?
Dallas I don't understand how they cannot be there. Like you just stated,
I do.
A three-headed monster at wide receiver in Cooper, who's always going to get his 1,000.
Yep.
They got CeeDee Lamb, who is the last man on the totem pole, but still very dynamic.
Yep.
And then you got Michael Gallup. I'm sorry, it's actually CeeDee Lamb who's number 2, and then Michael Gallup is the one
Yes.
third.
Right.
So how can you go wrong with that type of offensive power? And then you got Zeke, who's supposed to be back, fired up, lost weight, ready to start the season after a down year. Dallas offensively should kill the East. They really should.
Yeah.
6-0. Should go 6-0. But we'll wait and see. I mean, even on defense, Dallas is like stacked up. The linebackers that they have now, opposed to what they had last year, are straight up legit.
Yep. And you freed up a spot from Lee, who give you about 3 games before he gets hurt. So
yeah, it's always Lee going down.
Lee going down.
But now they got the guy out of Penn State, Michael Parsons. He's going to be on.
Woo!
You got Jalen Smith. He's going to be in the middle. And then you got my man Vander Esch still there. So you ranking linebacker core, they right there at the top of the daggone league with that thing right there. Defensively, Dallas should be okay. Offensively, they should be even better. Um, I see them at least 10 wins. At least 10 wins. Now
Yeah.
we say this year in and year out, in preseason, and then the regular season starts, and for whatever reason they can't get it done, either through injury or just straight out flopping. But maybe this is the year for them. We shall see.
Well, Rand, the only thing that really gives me pause is, and I get this, injuries happen all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Freak injuries happen a lot. But once your quarterback has gotten injured once, and I'm speaking about Dallas quarterbacks, once they get hurt one time, they start getting hurt a little bit more often. So I'm not saying that Dak is going to get hurt again. He's been pretty durable his first couple of years in the league. But once they get hurt, Romo, it just starts to keep happening. And I don't see where they thought about that to the point that they decided to maybe upgrade their backup situation. We know Andy Dalton went for greener pastures in Chicago. We'll see how long that lasts for Fields takes his job. But his backup is Garrett Gilbert. And then the third stringer is Cooper Rush. And they've got even Ben DiNucci from last year still as the fourth stringer right now. So number one, I know they're not going to keep 4 quarterbacks. I doubt they keep one on the practice squad. So peace out, Ben. But then, I mean, my God, you got Cooper Rush and Garrett Gilbert, not so much, trailblazers. So if Dak has to come out for a series, if Dak has to come out for, a half or even a game, we're looking at last year all over again.
All over again. You're going to
because it doesn't matter who your receivers are if the quarterback can't get them the ball.
Yep, can't get them the ball.
And if everybody know the quarterback can't get the receivers the ball, then they're going to stack the box, and Zeke is going nowhere. Now, and they still have Tony Pollard behind Zeke. That's good. So anytime Zeke wants to start fumbling the ball, they take him out for a quarter, put Tony Pollard in, and a lot of times don't even seem like it lose that much of a step. Other than the fact that Tony Pollard don't be, doing all that mess. But they're a hit away on Dak from being in the same position.
Yeah. And then we'll be back in the position of possibly, a NFC East team finish.
Yes, and that's what kind of they have no room for error when it comes to that, because your backups just are not going to do it for you. They have a pretty, I don't know, I kind of think it's a tough season. I mean, they start out, of course, at Tampa Bay. Let's agree that's a loss. Then they have to come home and face the Chargers. It could go either way. Then then Philly comes to their house. That should be a win. Again, I don't know how that's a Monday night football game. 8:00 Monday night game should be like a slaughter. Then the following week, week 4, they have the Carolina Panthers. Now, I think that's going to be a pretty competitive game. I don't know who wins that game.
That'll be a good one.
I want the Panthers to win that game. It's a 1:00 game. I want to see them win it. And then they have New York coming in. That's going to be should be a game that they win. If they can't beat the Giants in week 5, then they're not who we thought they were. No. And then week 6, before their bye, they have a bye on week 7. Week 6, New England comes to town. So we're going to get to see Cam Newton come in and beat them out.
One of them.
We'll see. We'll see who it is by week 6. So yeah, are there 9 wins on their schedule? If it is, it's going to be because they have to eat off of the NFC East. They've got Arizona. They've got New Orleans. They've got Las Vegas. They've got Kansas City. They've got Denver. They've got Minnesota, New England, as I mentioned before, Los Angeles, Tampa Bay as their non-divisional opponents. So first, they're going to have to make as much hay as they can in NFC East, and then win their share of some at least 4 or 5 of their non-divisional games just to have a chance to win the division. Once they win the division, then, playoffs do what it do, but they at least got to make it to the dance. So we'll see how they go. All right. So with that said, God almighty. Let's have it. Go ahead. Let's make your NFC East pick official. You're picking.
All right. So I got Dallas finishing at the top of the division. I think as long as they could keep Dak upright, they're going to have that position sealed. Number 2 position, I think, is going to go to the Washington football team, even though they got quarterback issues. I think they have enough defense to at least stay number 2 in that race and be in the hunt defensively. Um, the third team I got is the New York Giants. The cupboards are pretty bare there, but they do have enough offensive firepower as long as they get back Saquon in a reasonable amount of time to at least finish third. They're not going to be competing with Washington and Dallas, but they can finish third. Philly, long season. Going to be a very, very long season. Sorry, Philly fan that had dialed in, but yeah, I'm going to be sleeping on your Eagles this year.
Yeah. Tell me when it's over. Well, no. I'm sorry. It's over. For the first snap of the season, it's over. And you know what? I'm going to totally concur. I'm picking the same thing. Dallas, obviously. Washington, I just think that they've got a better quarterback situation than New York and Philadelphia. I think their defense is going to be in a better situation than New York and Philadelphia. If there is a possibility, I still think there's a somewhat possibility that Washington ends up winning the division. If what I think could happen to Dallas happens, they are a hit on Dak away from losing the division to potentially not even coming up second, but actually battling Philly for the basement.
Ooh.
They are that close because they have not addressed their quarterback situation. You just paid this man. You ain't got no backup plan? Go Garrett Gilbert. That's all I can say. Go Garrett. We'll see, Garrett. All right. Well, with that, let's go ahead and look at our AFC. We've got, this is to me going to be one of the hardest divisions in the AFC. And I say that knowing good and well that the New York Jets are in this division. Not saying it because they are. I'm just saying it because I think the other 3 teams are going to be pretty formidable. Now, I do understand that, Kansas City is in the division. But even in Kansas City's division, who else is in their division? You've got the Raiders, who are decent, and you got the Broncos and the Chargers. And I still think Kansas City is a top-heavy AFC division. The AFC North, you've got the Ravens, the Browns, and maybe the Steelers. So that's kind of a 50-50 division. The AFC South, next. The AFC East is got 3 teams who has a lot of wins 2 teams that had a lot of wins last year. And we're kind of looking for the Patriots to kind of hopefully rebound this year because they've got a lot of players back that opted out last year because of COVID. So let's talk about those New England Patriots. There is currently a quarterback battle going on right now. Bill Belichick has tried to say all the right things, but then he kind of leaves it kind of questionable who his starter is. As of right now, this minute is Cam Newton. 12 hours from now, it may not be. And that's just how Bill Belichick is. You never know. But Cam Newton is the starter. Then you got Mac Jones, then Brian Hoyer, and then, oh my God, Stead is still on the team at number 4. Peace, Stead. The fact that Brian Hoyer, the old man, is 3rd and Stead is 4th. Again, this is another one of those things I always like to say. It says more about Stidham than it does about Brian Hoyer. Hoyer should be like thinking about retirement, and Stidham can't get out of that depth chart. And that also says a lot about Mac Jones, that Mac Jones is still considered to be the number 2, that it pushed Hoyer and Stidham even further back. And then with today's announcement with Sony Michel getting traded, now you've opened up Damian Harris to be number 1 on the depth chart, which I'm a little wondering about, because then James White is listed as number 2. And, I think Damian Harris is going to be okay. But I honestly think whether James White starts at running back or not, he's going to get a whole lot of plays because he's a gadget guy. He is a great catcher out of the backfield. I think they're going to lean heavily on running the football and get back to that without it coming from the quarterback position as much. I think if Cam is the starter, they will use him as a running quarterback from time to time, or use the threat that he will pull the ball back from some RPO positions and potentially have the ball. I just don't know how much more Cam can do that and be effective. Every time Cam does it, at this point, he's going to have a rookie just waiting. He might have his ball cap on, but he's going to probably have a helmet in his hand too. Every time Cam start trying to run with that ball. They did pick up Nelson Aguilar from the Raiders, I believe, and then previously from the Eagles. If he's healthy, that could be a great pickup for them. They've got Jacoby Myers, the former quarterback, coming back. Kendrick Bourne is going to be the other receiver. They picked up Hunter Henry. They spent some money this offseason. Wynn got Hunter Henry as one tight end, and then Jonnu Smith as another tight end.
Yeah.
Damn.
That dual tight end threat.
Definitely.
Back in the days where they had Gronk and the murderer.
I had to think about that. Like, oh yeah, he did.
So yeah, man. But the quarterback position, you never know with Belichick. He's not saying too much. Never does say a whole lot. News out of the Patriot camp right now is that Cam Newton has COVID. So he's under that COVID protocol. Hopefully he'll be able to get his job back after he gets out of protocol. Hopefully he didn't lose it in that manner to a rookie quarterback.
Right.
Just decided on the field. But I mean, you never know. Cam is under a lot of pressure right now. Another 1-year deal. Didn't play well last year. And got the rookie that all of New England wanted sitting behind him, waiting for him to make a mistake. It's a very uncomfortable spot for him.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that plays out. Both of the guys look good in preseason, especially last week against the Eagles. Whew.
Oh, my God.
Ooh.
Was it 35-0?
35-0. I don't care if it is preseason. You get 35 points in preseason. It's about the same as losing 21-0 in a regular season game. So, yeah, they got weapons still in New England, even though Brady is long gone. Sony Michel just got traded to L.A. That's going to be huge for L.A. But as for the Patriots, they're going to use one of those running backs as the pass catching threat on third down. And they still got what's his name? Damian Harris. He's going to be toting the load now, and he didn't do a bad job of that last year. So,
right.
Patriots will be right up there with the Buffalo Bills for 1-2 in the division.
Okay. I'm with you. And their defense, man, is coming back. Gilmore's coming back this year. You got McCourty back. You got Calvin Noy, Dante Hightower. Oh my God! So yeah, they've got some and whether it's Cam or whether it's Mac Jones, they've got some weapons. Those 2 tight ends alone could end up, and this is no stretch of the imagination. If it's Cam, Hunter Henry could be his Greg Olsen, where it's his safety valve, where he's getting the ball out quickly to either Hunter Henry or Jonnu Smith, and they end up leading the team in receiving yards. N'Keal Harry isn't even going to be a starter. It seems like he's going to be in the rotation, and then he was wanting out of New England for a minute and all that kind of stuff, where his agent was saying that, and he just didn't show anything.
That guy's a wash for a first-round pick.
Yeah. And I think if he can't get on the field this year, I mean, he's gonna be at the Stop and Shop bagging groceries next season.
Yeah,
That's all I can tell you. He might not make it the whole season. And that's just a sad thing to see, because you've got a converted quarterback who's actually one of your starting receivers, in Jacoby. NC State, wasn't it?
it was.
So, the fact that you got a converted quarterback doing what you've been doing, yeah. So, New England's got a lot of games out of their division that are going to be pretty competitive. They've got Jacksonville. They've got Indianapolis. They've got Tennessee. They've got Cleveland. They've got Carolina. They got the Chargers. I don't want to say Houston. I mean, they should win that game easily. They got New Orleans. So they've got a couple of games in their division that are going to be, outside their division, that are going to be very huge test, no matter who the quarterback is. It's going to come down to protecting the ball, not turning the ball over and stuff like that for them. They should be able to move. The offense has to stay out of so many 3-and-out situations so that the defense, as good as it is, doesn't get winded by being out there so much and trying to play a game of field position. So we'll see about them looking over to that potential headache in the East for them would be the Buffalo Bills, with the newly extended Josh Allen at the helm of quarterback. And his backup, the one, the only. Okay, yeah, that's cool. Metro Trubisky will be backing him up. I'm actually kind of okay with that. I mean, I have a problem with Mitch Trubisky backing him up. Because you've got Devin. Yeah, he should have always been back up. But you have Devin Singletary and Zach Moss and Matt Breida as your 3 running backs.
3-headed monster.
Wow.
Any one of those guys could start if one of them goes down. Buffalo is stacked this year.
Wow.
Stacked this year.
Then you got Stephon Diggs, Manuel Sanders, and then Cole. I ain't taking a shot, Beasley, as your starting receivers. And then you got a handful of guys backing them up. I don't know a lot about Dawson Knox as the tight end, or Jacob Hollister as the backup tight end. And it looks like they're carrying a fullback this year too, Reggie Gillum. You know anything at all about and I see Darrell Williams is back as the right tackle from Carolina. You know anything about the Knox guy that's the tight end?
I don't, but they don't utilize the tight end a whole lot in that Buffalo offense. But what I can say is that running game is going to be
that's amazing.
Hell on wheels.
And Josh Allen can run.
Josh Allen can run. Josh Allen can pass. He got Diggs on one side. He got Beasley cutting across the middle, who can't nobody stay with.
Right.
Buffalo.
And you got Manuel Sanders now?
And Emmanuel Sanders, who's just precision as far as a route runner. Can't burn you anymore, but he's still a very good route runner. Buffalo is going to be hell on wheels this year.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Let's jump down to the warm waters of Miami. And this is going to be an interesting season for Tua Tagovailoa. I know I was going to mess it up. I was just going to say Tua, but I wanted to say Tagovailoa. And then Jacoby Brissett has actually found a landing spot behind him as his backup. See, I kind of like that. I'm okay with Jacoby Brissett being the backup. If something happens to Tua, if Tua gets off to a slow start, any of those things, I'm kind of okay with Jacoby doing that. See Dallas? This is what I'm talking about, Dallas. Yep. See how Garrett Gilbert work out for you. Just saying. Running backs, they have Myles Gaskin, Malcolm Brown. Wide receivers, the always mentioned Devontae Parker. No relation, I think. Will Fuller is on, but he's going to be suspended the first couple of games because of some performance-enhancing stuff from his days in Houston. And then Jalen Waddle is going to be that other wide receiver. The tight end, Mike Gesicki, is going to be back. Man, how do you see this team?
Miami's going to be okay. They're going to take another step in that progression. I've been really, really impressed on what they're doing as far as the long haul. They are building something down there. It's just going to take time to build it. I don't think it happens for them this year just because it's going to be just too hard to get past Buffalo and New England. But they're definitely headed in the right direction.
Now they had 10 wins last year. Do they get back to 10?
They did. I don't know if they get back to 10 this year, but they do have a very good 1-2 punch. Not a 1-2 punch, but Tua as the starting quarterback, and then a very good backup. Brissett is a very good backup plan, as you
Right.
just now mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
The running backs are not too much to get excited about, but they got a hell of a weapon in Waddle. So Miami, I got them finishing third just because of the division that they're in. But again, headed in the right direction.
No doubt, no doubt. And to make note of that, they did do something that I was very, very skeptical of. They took they knew Fitzmagic was going to become Fizzmagic.
They knew.
So they took him out before he fizzed, brought in Tua, and they kept on winning games.
Yeah, it worked.
You know, so that was very surprising. They were winning games with Fitzmagic, and before he became, for 12 o'clock hit and he turned back into the pumpkin he always does, they went ahead and made the change and didn't lose a beat. I was really shocked by them. They really impressed me. So it seems like they are definitely headed in the right direction, as you put it. Last but not least, let's talk about the least. And that'll be those New York Jets. Okay, I'm done with New York Jets. Anything you got on them?
Nah, man, it's going to be a long season in New York, as I've already said. They got their quarterback, their new shining piece as a draft pick, Zach Wilson. I guess that's his name.
Yeah.
Stay upright all year. I don't know if it will happen for him, but
I think he's going to learn more about dirt than anything in the world.
I am telling you, those New York wide receivers are nothing to be excited about. The New York running game is nothing to write home about. And on top of that, they're losing pieces by the day in camp to injury.
Injuries. They may even be faking them, Rand. They just don't want to play with them.
I think they're down 3 or 4 offensive and defensive starters.
Yeah, they are.
So even before this game 1, so long, ugly season for the Jets.
Long one. All right, so go ahead and give it to me. Your AFC East picks are going to be.
All right, let's start from the top. I am going to go with my boys, Buffalo. I think that they are stacked defensively. I think that the offensive game that they bring to the table is going to be hard to deal with. Unfortunately, my team, the Steelers, are going to have to see them first. I think that's going to be our first L, but we'll see. I got Buffalo going number 1 in this division. I got New England going number 2. I think despite the little quarterback controversy that they got going on, it doesn't matter who's going to start because they got Belichick at the head ultimately. And he's going to make sure that they finish at least number 2, if not still one from Buffalo. I got Miami. I think we both agree going in the right direction for the long haul, but just won't happen for them this year. And the Jets might be the number 1 draft pick for the 2022 draft.
I think all of those are actually accurate. I couldn't say it better myself. I think the Jets are going to end up with a top 3 at minimum pick for next year's draft. I'm hard pressed to figure out who's going to be worse than them. God, I don't know. But yeah, it's going to be a hard division for them. So we've got 4 divisions already wrapped up over the next 2 weeks. We'll get in the other 16. And we'll do this all over again. Rand, thanks so much for joining, making it in. We will definitely see everybody next week. See y'all then.